taking you on a wildlife tour of Asia, which will include India, China, Cambodia, Nepal, Pakistan, and Indonesia, all without ever leaving the Bronx. And we begin our trip by crossing over the Bronx River. The Bronx River is 23 miles long. It's the only freshwater river within the city of New York, and it provides a habitat for ducks, turtles, fish, and migrating birds. Asia is the continent with the largest number of deer species, and it is well known for its deer diversity. We have two species of deer in this exhibit, the axis deer and Barasingha deer. And there's one Barasingha deer sitting along the fence, but we'll see a lot more Barasingha and axis deer in about 8 to 10 minutes. Right now, what you see in front of you to the right are the black buck antelope. And the black buck antelope are the smallest antelope in Asia. They only stand 2.5 to 3 feet tall. A mature male will have a dark chocolate brown coat with long spiral horns. Immature males and females have a tan and white coat. The other two animals, the axis deer, which is a spotted deer that's been exhibited at the Bronx Zoo since 1899, and it's one of the few deer species that are born with spots and keep their spots for their entire life. Most other deer lose their spots as they mature. And the Barasingha deer is also known as the swamp deer. They're a honey-colored deer. In the Hindi language, the word Barasingha means 12 pine, because the males can have 12 to 14 points on their antlers. Now we'll see those two animals in about 8 to 10 minutes. In the meantime, the huts we're passing right now represent an important conservation story which involves the Barasingha deer.
In 1970, there were estimated to be only 66 of the Barasingha deer remaining in central India. But this population was saved by the cooperation of the local Indian community. Like the shacks you see here, there were many small farms using space in and around India's Kanha National Park. These people were coming into contact with the deer and the tigers that were also living there. Through cooperation with the Indian government, local communities agreed to relocate their villages. By moving, the farmers still had land to farm, but the tigers and their prey got more room to roam.
Like the dinosaur and the dodo bird, we all know that a species that is extinct is lost to us forever. The next animals we're about to see were on the brink of extinction. In fact, the Mongolian wild horse is extinct in nature and can only be found in captivity. Now, this past spring, we had 3 baby horses born in this exhibit. Last summer, we had 2, so there's 5 horses in about a year and a month or so. Now, the Mongolian wild horse is the only true species of wild horse that's alive today, and its appearance differs from the domestic horse. It has a stockier build, shorter legs, and an erect haircut. The mane is also missing a forelock that makes the hair which usually falls in front of a domestic horse's forehead. Now, captive breeding of the Mongolian wild horse started with a group of 28 animals in 1901. The Bronx Zoo received its first horses in 1902, and we have maintained that herd ever since. The horses you see here today are directly descended from the original horses from back in 1902. Some reintroduction back into the wild in parts of Mongolia and China of herds of animals that were bred and raised in North American and Asian zoos. And the Mongolian wild horse is extinct, has a long and rich history, which is well entwined with our own human history.
The first accounts of Mongolian wild horses come from rock engravings, paintings, and even cave drawings that date back more than 20,000 years. And the first written accounts were from Tibet, sometime around 900 AD. But these horses remained largely unknown and unnamed to the Western world for many years. During an expedition to Central Asia in 1879, a famous Russian explorer and naturalist, Colonel Nikolai Przewalski, encountered the horse in Western Mongolia. Because of his discovery, this species is also known as Przewalski's horse.
Now, you may have noticed trees wrapped in wire as we went through the first couple of exhibits. And that wire is there to help protect the trees from the animals. Some animals like to eat parts of the trees, others like to rub their horns or antlers on the bark of a tree. If those trees get damaged, they can die, and since they provide shade and shelter for the animals, we try to protect as many trees as possible. Now, in this exhibit, we'll be looking for 2 animals, the brown white deer and the gaur, the world's largest wild cattle. Now, way over to the right, I see, past all the trees in the shadows there, I see some Barasingha deer along the side fence. Now the brown-ended deer, the brown-ended deer gets its name from the look of the male's antlers which form a brow in front of the deer's face. And in Asia they're considered to be vulnerable since they're losing habitats of farming, and in many areas they have to resort to feeding on crops. Now they're over to the right. If you take a look at the back fence all the way directly in front of you, and go over to the right, you're going to come to a clearing, and you will see the tops of some of the gaur, the world's largest wild cattle. Now, males can weigh as much as 2,000 pounds and stand 6 feet tall at the shoulders. And they can grow to a length of about 10 feet. Now, male's horns go straight up and down while the female's horns curve inward. And in about 2 to 3 minutes, we'll get a close-up look at the gaur. Now, with their large size and impressive horns, the gaur have very few enemies in the wild. They can even defend themselves against the tiger, but they are endangered by loss of habitat and by diseases they can catch from domestic cattle. Now, at the Bronx Zoo, we participate in what's called species survival plans, and here's a little bit more information for you.
Here at the zoo, we help gaur and brow-antlered deer and many other species by participating in cooperative zoo management programs called species survival plans. The name says it all. The plans aim to help these animals survive. Zoos across the country work together to maintain genetically diverse populations of rare and endangered species.
It's easy to forget that the Bronx Zoo is located in the heart of an urban environment, but the noise you hear behind you is the traffic on the Bronx River Parkway, and the large fence directly in front of you is here to help reduce the noise from the city traffic. Now, this next exhibit will be looking for a tiger, so I ask everyone again to please remain seated. Tigers are solitary animals. They live alone in the wild, and that is why we only exhibit one tiger here at a time. The tiger that's on exhibit today is named Bachuta. He's a 10-year-old, 450-pound Siberian tiger. And Bachuta is a very good example of the species survival program you just heard about. He is on loan to us from the Toronto Zoo. He was brought to the Bronx for breeding purposes, and he's been quite successful. He's the proud father of the 2 Siberian tiger cubs that we have on exhibit over at Tiger Mountain. Now over to the right, and I'm just a little bit behind the pond, but way to the right, maybe about 200 feet. There's some shrubs and a tree trunk, and behind that you'll find Bachuta taking a nap. Now, tiger stripes provide excellent camouflage, and no 2 tigers have the same stripe pattern. It's like a fingerprint. And scientists can use that information in the wild to identify individual tigers, and this way they can determine how many tigers are living in a particular area. Now, Bachuta is right in front of me right now. Now, there's only about 3,200 tigers left in the wild. Poaching, loss of habitat, lack of prey are the tiger's main enemies. The Wildlife Conservation Society is one of the world's leading organizations helping to save and protect tigers around the world, wherever tigers are found. At the upper right-hand corner of the exhibit, you'll see catch a glimpse of the gaur again. And now we're entering the back end of the first exhibit we came into. And right here in the front of the exhibit, to the right and among the fallen trees, we have the axis deer, which is a spotted deer that's been exhibited at the Bronx Zoo since 1899. One of the few deer species to be born with spots and can't keep their spots for their entire life. Most other deer lose their spots as they mature. The honey-colored deer is the Barrasinger deer, also known as the swamp deer for obvious reasons. Now the many roads you see here are used by the zookeepers to access the 40 acres of wild Asia. But in the wild, roads represent danger for the animals, since they allow hunters and poachers deeper into the animal's habitat. Now imagine a pig with tusks that sprout from the top of its snout and curve backward towards its eyes. The name of this pig is Barbaroussa. And in the Malay language, the word Barbaroussa means pig deer because those tusks resemble antlers. Now this is our male lioness, Barbaroussa. Males live alone in the wild, females live in family groups. In this exhibit we have Kathy Kelsey Hickory over to the left, and there's one over by the gate right here in front of this fence. Now elephants are the world's largest land mammals. But unfortunately, they're also becoming one of the rarest. And in the wild Asian elephants will live up to 60 years. Our two Asian elephants, Patty and Maxine, are in their early 40s. The giant tree stump over by the pond is an elephant-sized back scratcher. Now, Asian elephants can weigh as much as 10,000 pounds. Therefore, they have to eat lots of vegetation. And at the Bronx Zoo, Patty and Maxine receive a variety of vegetables. Plus, they can eat up to 200 pounds of hay and drink up to 60 gallons of water in one day. And the elephant's trunk is a remarkable tool. It has over 40,000 muscles and a finger-like appendage at the end of it. And the elephant will use that appendage to gently pick up something as small as an egg without breaking it, or it can use that trunk to rip down a tree with tremendous force. Now, Patty and Maxine are pampered at the Bronx Zoo. They have their own private pool and back scratcher. They also get pedicures and baths. And the pedicures are necessary because in the wild Asian elephants walk up to 30 miles a day in search of food, and their nails get worn down naturally. But since Patty and Maxine live at the Bronx Zoo and don't need to walk as much, they need to have their nails filed down by the zookeepers in order to keep their feet healthy. So we say goodbye to Patty and Maxine, say hello to Callie and Christian, our two Indian rhinos. Now it's Callie on the left and Christian is on the right. And Christian is in the lead right now. He's Callie's son. He was born in October of 2008, so he's looking at his third birthday coming up in a couple of months. Now there's only about 2,000 Indian rhinos left in the wild between India and Nepal. At the Bronx Zoo, we currently care for 7 of the endangered species. And we've been very successful in breeding rhinos in captivity here at the zoo. Over the last several years, we've had 10 births here. Now here's some interesting information for the moms of the train, and I'm sure you can appreciate this. The Indian rhino is pregnant for 16 months. Could you imagine being pregnant for almost a year and a half and then giving birth to a baby that weighs over 150 pounds? That baby stays with its mother for about 2 to 3 years, although weaning only takes 12 to 16 months. Now people think that the rhino is armor-plated or has very thick skin, but in fact it has a thin layer of skin that has many folds. That skin is sensitive to sunlight and to insect bites, and that is why you'll often find the rhino wallowing in mud, because that mud helps to protect their skin. Now just beyond this fallen tree is a mud wallow that's been here since 1977 when Wild Asia first opened. Now rhinos have very poor eyesight, but they have a good sense of smell and good sense of hearing. And although they're such large animals, they can still run at speeds of up to 30 miles an hour. But that's not fast enough to outrun poachers and hunters who are killing the rhino for its horn.
The horn of a rhinoceros is very different from that of a goat or antelope. It is not attached to the skull. Rhino horn is made from compressed keratin fibers, the same material that is found in fingernails and hair. Although rhinos are a protected species, poaching still occurs. Rhinos are killed for their body parts, but some people believe that this horn has special medicinal powers. It is also used as an ingredient in some traditional Asian medicines, and the rhino horn is also prized in some cultures for making dagger handles.
Now these large dark brown deer that you see grazing right by those fallen trees, those are Zambar deer. They're the largest deer in southern Asia. The males can weigh as much as 650 pounds and stand 5 feet off the shoulders, and their antlers can go to a length of 3 feet. The little tan animals sitting along that circular fence, those are hog deer, and they're called hog deer because they're short and style like a hog. Another one is the Zambar deer, one of the males. Notice that those antlers are in the process of growing in right now. As you may know, deer sit there antlers once a year and then